here on the Eve River on Vancouver Island. It's 2/3 of the way through October and the 19th. And what we're here doing is looking at the canyon, which is so beautiful. If you didn't know that it was natural, you'd think somebody made it and it was in Disneyland. But what we're doing here is trying to see the coho salmon that have come up the river into this canyon. There are a bunch of dark brown lines. Each one of those lines is a coho salmon. And these fish here are as much as 20 pounds, so they're really very big fish. The fish like to see you dressed nicely. It really improves the fishing. They're much more willing to come to you. So that's a good reason why you have to buy all sorts of fishing gear. And all fishermen have this stuff. And I'm going to get dressed here, and away we'll go, and hopefully the fish will like it. Well, I'll like it anyway. So, get it. It's October now, and the coho have been in the river for a couple of weeks now. They've got that nice red, rosy hue, and they get bright red. They get much redder than the fish that we've caught so far. And they get very festive. And at this time, down at the estuary, which is about 4 kilometers from here, the chum are just starting to come in. The Chinook have come and gone, all the pinks have come and gone. This river this year had just phenomenal pinks. There were so many pinks that one high water, tens and tens of thousands spawned and went. And then on the next incoming tide on a sunny day, in came just as many again to do it again. It was phenomenal this year. There you go. This is a West Coast male wild coho. Just as pretty as they get. It's probably been in the river about a week to 10 days, and it's going to be shooting up these rapids as soon as it rains and spawn. Here we are today, deep in October, on the Englishman River on the low end. What we're going to do is first show you some spawning fish, and then we'll get on and fish. You don't fish over spawning fish because it's unethical. So we'll find some fish that are pre-spawn, that have just come in the river. But do take a look at these fish. If you watch them, you'll be able to see them turn on their sides, and they shake to get the gravel up. Fish have down their lateral line, they have a little teeny weeny muscle that all that does is keep them moving about a mile and a half an hour. And so they could be in a low energy state while their bodies are just taking over and keeping them roughly in the same spot. They do need some time to wake up in the morning, and then typically you'll get some good fishing about till noon, and then there for a few hours it's down, and then as the sun goes, when you go, the sun's going. That's when the bite typically comes on, a couple hours before the end of the day. But as far as sleep goes, I don't think they get much sleep, and they're probably so filled with hormones right now that they probably don't want to sleep. They just want to be with their good buddies, right? So
significant others.
They're significant others, right? On spawning beds, you should stay off them. You find a different place to cross the river. You're looking for fresh patches of gravel, which the fish have been lifting up. Largely the females do that chore. And you can see where the reds are. They're also depressions. Chinook salmon ones, they can be as much as 8 feet across and 3 feet deep. So if you step in one, you may go over your waders. I'm patient once I've caught a fish. If I don't catch fish, I'm in a bad mood, and people who fish with me will tell you that. Oh, Dennis hasn't caught a fish yet, you know. Get him a fish and he'll calm down. I know about you. Well, here we are this morning, come down in mid-October in autumn to see the estuary of the Eve and Adam below its confluence. This is a classic salt marsh that is more than a half a mile wide, and you can see the grasses in the open area. The grasses are specific ones that can take the salt water, and this whole area is just the most important part of the entire chain of life. In the background there are seagulls. There must be a good 100 of them down there. We've seen eagles and some types of terns and some sandpipers and that kind of thing. This is really classic birding type property. But it's also a very fragile piece of property because it can easily be, and it has in the past in many other places, been just simply paved right over with gravel and away they go. To give you an example of how fragile this kind of land is and how it really needs to be saved, is that there's a log sort right over there behind that line of trees. There are a few dead carcasses here in the shore, and the eggs that wash out slowly go downstream. And there comes a point in the shallow, soft water where the seagulls sit, and they'll just pick off the eggs one at a time. Remember about fishing for salmon in an estuary is that every time there's a little step up, that becomes a point of structure for the fish coming in. And it's just gone over the step that's down there a ways, and it's coming up to this step, and when it lifts over it, the structure is eliminated and the fish won't stop, and they keep on going. So that's why in an estuary you go up and down, you just keep following it. I think that there's two things, but the most important thing, and it's something that has always struck me as a bit of a shame, is that we need Aboriginals, environmentalists, and sport fishermen on the same page at the same table, on the same side of the table. Every different group has their own particular point of view, but the differences are quite small, really. And then the thing that has to be addressed right away, and the most important thing, is habitat for salmon in rivers has to be vastly improved. There should be $100 million spent every year for 5 years. That's $500 million. That's my rough estimate of how much logging damage and other types of damage that are out there that DFO just simply hasn't put into. With everybody on, with those three groups on the same side of the table, I think that that objective can probably be achieved in due course.